Israel, I speak not in anger, but in mourning. What unfolds here is not a prophecy, it is a confession, a lament for a nation that lost its way, a reckoning with faith betrayed, with justice undone. The dream of Israel was radiant, redemptive, now stands fractured, its soul adrift in its own design. The founder's vision fades in the din of war and discord. This is not the Israel they dreamed. This is the echo of their silence. What Netanyahu and his government are unmaking is not only the state, but the soul that gave it breath. The shattering the covenant between dreams and destiny, between a promise and faith. They have broken the moral spine of Israel, as envisioned by those who birthed from the ashes of exile. They have betrayed its reason for being. The Israelis have forsaken the values that sustained the Jews across millennia of dispersion. Values carved into the marrow of survival, etched into the whisper of exodus and return. Israel was meant to rest upon these pillars: compassion, justice, and the sanctity of life. But time has unmasked the illusion. Raw power eclipsed purpose. Dogma devoured faith. To abandon these values is to abandon the very soul, the source of survival. Instead of nurturing a path to coexist, Israel chose conquest over realism and moral conscience. Successive governments turned their gaze away from peace toward walls, checkpoints, and chains. They wove a machinery of dehumanization, turning neighbors into shadows, children into threats. From the soil they seized land, and from the soul they stole dignity. Nearly 8 decades of blood, culminating in Gaza and ending funerals. A war that reeks of genocide, a monument to moral betrayal. Men, women, and children reduced to rubble and dust. Not enemies, but victims of a vision gone blind. Mercy was burned with the dead, and humanity sunk beneath the void. It defies comprehension that the descendant of those consumed by Holocaust fire now wield its reflection against another. From victim to victimizer, from hunted to hunter. They cheer destruction as if deliverance, applaud death as if redemption. The echo of suffering now reverberates inward, a curse disguised as victory. Netanyahu dreams of an empire, cloaked in the divine decrees. Greater Israel, a phrase soaked in hubris and denial. Palestinian lives uprooted, their home erased by vengeance, scourged by fire, even beyond Syria and Lebanon. A hunger for land that defies reason and law. The world condemns, but Israel no longer listens. It has chosen isolation over communality and cohesion. Israel's moral stature lies in ruin, its image shattered, and its light dimmed by Gaza's fire. Global respect has turned to reproach, its name whispered in sorrow, not admiration. Decades may not heal this chasm. Some wounds once opened, never mend. Anti-Semitism, the Asian plague, once banished by the promise of Israel, now finds new breath in its brutality. Each savagery in Gaza, each siege in the West Bank, rekindles a hatred Jews have suffered for centuries. The oppressed have become the antagonist, and history, in a cruel symmetry, tightens its grip. Israel was meant to be a haven, a refuge for safety, not a site of ruin. But endless war breeds endless fear. With every rocket, every grave, another Israeli dreams of leaving. 3 flee for everyone who arrives, not for a lack of love, but a loss of faith. Security has become a mirage, flickering beneath the shadow of the sword. Across the world, Jews weep in silence. Their heart, once bound to Israel in pride, now tremble with disbelief. They watch a nation that rose from the ashes become the hand that burns. They mourn the betrayal of prophets, the defilement of sacred memory. The Star of David dims, not from hatred of others, but from the cruelty within. In synagogues, at tables, their prayers turn to lament. What was meant to redeem their suffering, now inflicted anew. They ache not for Israel's fall, but for its arc to decency, to justice, to itself. Israel has forfeited its reason for being. It has become a pariah, dropped in armor. Its greed now apartheid. Its conscience mute. It lives by the blade, undone by the wound it inflicts. The world watches, not in envy, but in anguish dismay. Instead of planting peace, Israel sows hatred deep in the valley of generations. The soil drinks rancor and blood, and the children grow in its poison. Each bomb, each bullet, ensure another orphaned soul, another hardened heart. The future dissolves before it can bloom, and what would have been harmony is now a lingering tyranny. Israel could have been light, a beacon to the broken, a refuge reborn in righteousness. The world waited for the miracle of its mercy, the justice of its strength. But the light dimmed, wrapped by fear, devoured by vengeance. The golden age that might have been has turned to rust and ruin. The promise that once united the Jews now divides their hearts. History will not forget that those who rose from the ashes became the fire that consuming their own. The world watches in disbelief, not at Israel's enemies, but at Israel itself. Once chosen to heal, now choosing to harm. In the shadow of its wandered light, the nation grieves for what could have been the light unto other nations, now flickering in darkness. Will a Savior rise and the people's cry ignite before this waning flame is doused, before the last spark of soul dies in its whispered wind?